What is going on YouTube? It's your boy back in here with a new haircut. So today I wanted to make a video about something we're all super familiar with. Failure. Think of it as almost a part 2 to the video I did last week about feeling lost. Failure is something we've all gone through at some point in our lives. Maybe you mess up a relationship with a person that you really cared about, or you didn't get that job promotion that you really wanted, even though you put in that extra push and did overtime every single day. It can be devastating, and rightfully so. It can be hard to put in so much work into achieving a certain goal or aspiration only to have it all fall flat. There's this hype and hype and hype and then nothing. You realize nothing's going to change, and all that excitement that you had was pointless. And at that moment, it's really easy to just want to pack it up and quit. But I believe that failure is a very necessary part of becoming great at something. So today I wanted to go over some ways that I've learned to process failure and accept it. Take a deep breath. And think about all the underlying reasons that you made the choices that you did in the first place. I believe that taking the time to focus on the long-term perspective will help you to find peace and acceptance in the moment. I guarantee that a small loss right now will look pretty insignificant come 5-15 years from now. It's pretty easy to get caught up in the short-term ups and downs in our lives. Our brains are pretty bad at looking long-term. And that's not to say how you're feeling right now isn't valid. It's normal to feel disappointed. But I also think that it's ultimately harmful to dwell on your failures for too long. So thinking about your long-term goals will, I believe, have you to really push past that, because now you have a greater purpose to work towards. And I might be making this up because I'm reciting this from memory, but I've read psychology studies that show that when you're not doing anything, you're more likely to feel lost and depressed. So the more that you do, the happier you'll be. And your big picture doesn't need to be a conventional measure of success like monetary or social success. It can be a lot more personalized. Like take me and this channel, for example. By every traditional measure of success, it's a complete failure. I get pretty much no views on anything. But at least for me, it's always been about expressing myself efficiently. And in that sense, I consider it a success. The second tip I would give you would be to sit down and really analyze why the failure happened in the first place. And see what you could have maybe done better to help prevent the situation from happening in the first place. More than anything, I think it's important to learn how to grow from our failures. Even if you believe that all or some of the factors were completely out of your control, I think there's always a lesson to be learned. Figuring out what those lessons are will allow you to be a bit more defensive in the future and adapt as to prevent a similar situation from occurring in the future. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I don't know what this is. Another thing is, I think it's important to adapt according to the lessons that we learned. What I've observed is that people have a tendency to be aware of the mistakes that they're making and why they're making it, and then keep making it. It's one thing if you're making strides to fix your mistakes, but you keep running into a cycle. That I understand to some extent. What I don't understand is people who are aware of the mistakes that they're making, but then just don't care. Like, why? That is weird to me. But what do I know? I'm just a guy spewing nonsense on the internet. Number 3. This one's a lot more abstract and difficult to do, but you've got to learn how to separate your identity from your failures. And that's really hard to do because it's all mental, right? It's like going up to someone who's really sad and being like, be happy, be happy. Okay, that didn't really help. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that you've got to remind yourself that you are not a failure because you failed. If anything, you're that much closer to achieving your goals. Most people are so afraid of failing that they don't even try. So if you've done anything at all you're already ahead of most people. Learning to separate yourself from your failures will allow you to look at them a lot more analytically, which will help you with the first 2 points that I mentioned before. So to wrap things up, how I personally recommend dealing with your failures would be to A, look at it from the greater context of your life. If you do that, you'll realize it's not the end of the world. B, figure out what lessons you could learn from the situation, and then apply that lesson to your life going forward. And finally, C, don't take it too personally. You are not your failures. And if you do those 3 things, I think you have a great head on your shoulders and you'll do fine in whatever you pursue. I don't know how to end this. The end? Peace.